Hey guys, welcome to Community Table, where I take your pantry staples on a trip around the world. So this week I am doing rice, and this was the #1 pantry staple that you guys asked me to create a recipe for. One of my favorite recipes that I've created during this sabbatical, which is a pea and peanut Pulao. Pulao is the Indian word for pilaf. So it's a pea and peanut pilaf. It's a huge hit with the kids, and if you put an egg on it, it's pretty much a meal, okay? So it starts with the rice itself. Now I am using basmati rice, which is, the rice of my people and the Persians. And the thing you have to do with basmati rice is you have to rinse it. You're rinsing it to get rid of the extra starch, and that's gonna give you nice fluffy rice because you're getting rid of the starch, right? And I rinse it very gently because I don't wanna break those grains, okay? And then once the water starts to run kind of clear, you can see it's still a little cloudy, so I might rinse it again. I'm gonna soak it for about 20 minutes. And what that's going to do is make those grains of rice kind of puff up a little. And so when they cook, you'll get much fluffier rice, okay? So that looks pretty clear. I'm just gonna let it sit, strainer in the bowl, the whole thing, for about 20 minutes while I get the rest of the rice ready. Okay, let's talk about ingredients. So, frozen peas, what we usually have. I've got about a cup of those. I've got some ghee, half a yellow onion, a handful of roasted peanuts, a couple of spices. I'm going to use some cumin seeds, a bay leaf, this is an Indian one, that's why it's so huge, and some green cardamom pods. And then the one thing that I realized is I tend to throw away the stalks of the cilantro, but you can use these. So I'm actually going to cook them and save the leaves for garnish. Okay, let's cook. Start with the ghee. Spoonful of ghee. You could also just use oil. About a teaspoon of cumin seeds, because I like cooking with them whole. So it gives it just a nice gentle underbelly of flavor. That bay leaf goes in, and my 4 cardamom pods go in as well. And I'm just looking for that aroma to come out. I can smell the cumin. I can't quite smell the bay yet. Or the cardamom seeds. So I'm just gonna wait until I can smell some of those things, and then I'll add the onion. Okay, now I can smell everything. So I'm gonna add the onion. And a pinch of salt. I can really smell that cardamom coming through now. Cumin is my absolute favorite spice, and it's always great with rice. It's a great sort of, like I said, like an underbelly of flavor. And then the cardamom gives it sort of that flowery, lemony, sort of aromatic flavor, and lemon and peas really go well together. And then bay leaves gives it that sort of green, to me, sort of spring flavor, especially if you had a nice fresh one. So we're just looking for these onions to go translucent. They're not there yet, so come visit me in a couple of minutes. So meanwhile, the rice has been soaking. I'm not sure if you can see this on the camera, but the grains were once translucent and now they're pretty solid looking. I don't know if you can see that, but to me that's a sign that they've soaked long enough. Throw the water away, and then I'm just gonna let it sit actually and drain off a little more, so I get as much water off those grains as possible, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, you can see the onions are now softened and translucent, and that's the perfect stage. So the rice goes in, every single grain. So now we're toasting the rice. This is one of the most important parts in you making a pilaf. We're both evaporating any water that's clinging to the outside of the grains. I'm going to turn this up a little, which is why I was trying to drain as much as possible so we wouldn't be here all day. And I'm also toasting the outside of every grain, getting it coated in butter and getting it ever so slightly nutty in flavor. So I always listen to the rice, like before my nose was in the rice, now my ear's gonna be in the rice. And I'm listening for a crackle, a snap, well not a snap, just a crackle. And then you'll know that a lot of the water has evaporated and that the rice is going nutty. Cuckoo bananas. Okay, I'm gonna add those cilantro stalks. There. Not wasting anything. Stir that in. And the other secret with rice is to always have some hot water on hand. So, I've got a kettle of hot water. The ratio, the magic ratio with rice is 1 cup rice, 1 3/4 cups water, okay? Here's my half cup measuring cup. So, half, 1, 1.5, and we'll do half of that, 1 3/4. Hello. Turn the heat up and bring that to a boil. You can see that it's coming up to a boil. I'm going to put the lid on, turn it down to low, and leave it alone for 15 minutes, okay? So for the peas, I actually don't want to cook them with the rice because they'll lose their beautiful color and sweetness. It's the saddest thing to me when I see pea pulao recipes and the peas are like gray. It's like the mushy peas that you dread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in what my friend Tad calls Chef Mike. Chef Mike is the microwave. So shout out to Tad. The peas are getting covered in water and then I'm going to put them in the microwave for a couple of minutes. Take the cold off, like a couple of minutes. Okay, so that's 15 minutes. Take the lid off. Get that bay leaf out of there. And then I do take the whole spices out if I can see them. So these are the cardamom pods coming out. In there, I'm going to leave the cumin in. And I'm just going to fluff the rice. Now it feels a little wet to me, which is okay. The onions give off water. That can kind of make it a little bit of a wetter rice. So now what I'm going to do is a little bit of magic, and this fixes all evils. Clean kitchen towel over the mouth of the pot, lid on, and if the rice is pretty dry, pull it off the heat. Since this rice is a little wet, I'm going to leave it right here, turn the heat off, and that residual heat will continue to cook some of that water off, okay? This kitchen towel is going to capture all that steam so it doesn't go plonking back down on the rice. And 5 minutes. Be back in 5 minutes. Okay. I'll see you in 5. Okay, time's up. Here we go. Lid off. Ooh, all the steam came out of that. Okay, that's more like it. I can just tell by looking at it. It's a lot drier. It's perfect, actually. Oh my gosh. Look at that nice fluffy rice. So that's the thing with Indian style rice and probably most of the rice you're making. This is not sticky rice. So we want each grain of rice to be separate from each other. We want each grain to be nice and elongated. I always think of sort of in those old Indian Mughal paintings, the women always have these nice long almond-shaped nails, you know, which are very hip right now. So it should look like that. So let's finish this off. I took the peas out of the water. They're still bright green. And they're gonna go right in. And then I've got my peanuts. You can use, you know, roasted peanuts. I just roasted these myself. And then I've got a handful of cilantro, and I'm not gonna chop it. I'm just gonna rip it. Because it's so tough. I made a mistake, which is fine. We all make mistakes. And I forgot to put salt in the water. So I tasted the rice a little earlier and it wasn't seasoned enough. So a little salt, and then for me, I always like a little fresh lemon. Now I'm just gonna mix that together. Isn't that so pretty though, guys? Come on. I love those colors. Let's serve up a bowl. Smell the ghee, like there's this buttery, nutty sort of aroma to it that's echoed in those peanuts. You've got that cumin seed, just a little bit of smokiness. the actual aroma of the rice itself. This is one of the reasons I love basmati, is that it smells of loam, it smells of the soil that it grew in, the wet paddies that it grew in. Oh my gosh. You guys, you're gonna love this recipe. It's sweet, it's savory, it tastes very fresh because of the peas and the cilantro and the lemon and the spices in it. Those spices will work with whatever rice you want to make. So you can make a mushroom pilaf, you could make an asparagus pilaf, you know, you could do whatever you want. Make sure you put a little cumin, bay leaf, and cardamom in it. That's the thumbs up from the Spice Queen, guys. All right, I'm going to try not to eat this and save it for dinner for the family, and I will see you next week. Bye, you guys. Do you want to try something?